Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we got another news and rumor review to discuss. We're looking at some signings that happened from our past couple days, some more PTO updates, and some trade rumors involving the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Nashville Predators, the Calgary Flames, and the Carolina Hurricanes. And we'll go to all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Before we get into this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for your support. We're now with all of you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below, and don't forget to comment down in the comment section below, so we can all discuss today's video. Now, in today's video, we're going to start off by discussing some signings from our past couple of days. Only saw two signings from our past few days. First, the Toronto Maple Leafs has signed Alex Steeves. Steeves, who's been a really good AHL over the past couple of years, gotten some looks at NHL over the past few years, is coming off a season where he had 27 goals and 57 points in 65 AHL games. Also had no points in one NHL game. Has a career high of, I think, 7 games played in his career with an assist. So hasn't gone to very many NHL action, but looks like he could eventually be a solid bottom 6 forward. Signs a 1-year league minimum deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that was one of the Leafs RFAs, one of the pieces of business they needed to get done, and they're able to get done here. So that's a really good sign there. I think Steeves, like I said, eventually could be a bottom 6 forward. Probably will go back to the minors in my opinion to start the season, but I could see him be a call-up option, or maybe even get an outside shot to start the bottom 6. So interesting stuff there. But Alex Steeves, who was one of the Leafs RFAs that he needs to sign, gets a 1-year league minimum deal that should be able to be a really good pickup there for the Maple Leafs. That's a pretty good pickup there for Toronto. And the other signing was with the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets have signed one of their final RFAs in Cole Sillinger. Sillinger, who had a pretty good rookie season a couple of years ago, didn't have an overly great one 2 years ago, had a decent one with a new career high last year, signed a 2-year extension with the Columbus Blue Jackets with an AAV of $2.25 million. That's a pretty good pickup there for the Jackets. I think Sillinger really does work well with that team, so to have Sillinger be there for the next couple of seasons at just under $2.5 million is pretty good. This past year, he put up 13 goals and a career high 32 points in 77 games after only having 3 goals and 11 points in 64 games the year prior, so interesting stuff there. Sillinger looks like eventually could be a solid second, third line center. Should probably be a third line center this upcoming season, so pretty good pickup there for the Jackets, and I think at 2.25 for the next 2 seasons, that's a pretty good steal of a deal. So that's a pretty good pickup there for the Jackets, but interesting stuff there. As we said, 2 signings from our past couple of days. Sillinger signs a 2-year deal with the Jackets, and Steeves a 1-year deal in Toronto. Going over to 3 PTO signings we've had over the past couple of days. We had 3 at least at this point as we're recording this video. The PTOs are as follows. A couple days ago we saw Tanner Pearson, who last year was with the Canadiens, former Canuck, former Penguin, former King, winds up signing a PTO with the Vegas Golden Knights. So we know that the Knights haven't really upgraded their forward group a whole bunch this past year. Maybe Pearson is able to get 1-year league minimum deal with the Golden Knights to really work out well as like a bottom 6 forward, so that could be an interesting pickup there for the Golden Knights. The Pittsburgh Penguins signed Knyzhov to a PTO. Knyzhov's been working really well with the Sharks as like a spare, suffered a long-term injury over the course of his career so far with the San Jose Sharks. Has been a decent 7th defenseman, mostly an AHLer, so he could sign a 1-year league minimum deal, be in the AHL affiliates for the Penguins, and be a call-up option if they need some. So interesting stuff there. And we also saw Canucks earlier today sign Sammy Blais to a PTO. Sammy Blais mostly played his career in St. Louis, has a short stint with the New York Rangers, has worked all right as like a bottom 6 forward. It's not going to put you up too many points, but he can definitely do quite well as like a solid bottom 6 player who can really play well as like a penalty killer. So interesting stuff there, but 3 PTOs have been signed as the Golden Knights have signed Pearson, Canucks Blais, and Penguins Knyzhov, all the PTOs, so interesting stuff there. And lastly, going over to a couple of trade rumors. We're going to start here with the Pittsburgh Penguins and Sidney Crosby. According to Jason Mackey of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, he says that there's a weird amount of silence when it comes to the Crosby situation. There was a lot of speculation before the start of free agency that the Penguins and Crosby are going to hook up on a 3-year extension around an AAV of like $10.5 million to keep Crosby with the Penguins for the next couple of years. Sounded like Crosby wanted to stay. Sounded like the Penguins really wanted to try and help build around Crosby. They made a couple of trades this year. They didn't get a whole bunch better, but you could say they got a little bit better. But is it enough to get them back in the playoffs? That's debatable. But now, according to Jason Mackey, he says that there's a weird amount of silence around it. So given the fact we're already in the middle of August, reaching towards the later end of August, and we still haven't gotten confirmation about a Crosby deal, it's starting to get a little bit worrisome, according to him. The longer this goes on, he says, the more worrisome it becomes. According to Mackey, he says the Penguins made a couple of trades last week, one talking about the Blues and Penguins pick swap, then acquiring Cody Glass. He says they could have easily signed Crosby at some time last week, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens with Crosby. Some people are wondering, is it possible that maybe Crosby doesn't want to sign Pittsburgh anymore? Because the Penguins, as much as they did all right this offseason Flames are probably going to be a retooling, rebuilding team for the next couple of years, and does Crosby really want to do that with how competitive he is? So is there a possibility out there that Crosby doesn't stay in Pittsburgh and will go and hit the free agent market next offseason? It's a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see. So according to Jordan Mackey, he says that there's a weird amount of silence around the Crosby extension right now, and the longer this goes on, the more worrisome it becomes about Crosby signing a 2 or 3 year extension with the Penguins, and the more likely a potential option of him hitting free agency becomes. So interesting stuff there, but we'll have to wait and see if a Crosby extension does materialize before the start of the season, or if it doesn't. That's going to be an extremely intriguing situation to watch out for during the course of this upcoming season. So interesting stuff there. Next, we went to the Calgary Flames. According to Julian McKenzie of The Athletic recently, he was talking about Rasmus Andersson, saying what the Flames could get for him. Anderson's probably one of, if not the best trade chip the Flames have right now for their rebuild. So he says that it would take a substantial offer to part with him, and that would make sense. Anderson's a top pairing right shot defenseman, not only a right shot defenseman very coveted amongst NHL teams, but also he's a top pair guy who can play top pair minutes, and is on a reasonable cap at $4.5 million for the rest of this year plus next season. So there will be a lot of teams not only interested in it, but the Flames could get a massive return if they were to. Given his contract and stuff like that, Julian McKenzie says that it could likely command a high draft pick and top tier prospect to part with him. So you're looking at probably like a first round pick and an A-level prospect plus probably something else. So it would be a high level ask, in my opinion, for any team trying to acquire Rasmus Andersson. But for Andersson, over the past little while, ever since actually the trade deadline this past year, it seems like the Flames, for the right deal, would be open to potentially moving on from Rasmus Andersson. So it's going to be an interesting situation to watch out for over the next little while. But McKenzie does think that if it was to happen, it would have to take a massive offer. Like teams who need right shot defensemen, like I'm not exactly sure who could potentially at this point, but if there was a team or two out there around the deadline who could really use the right shot defenseman in their top 4, could part with a couple of interesting pieces, and could have Rasmus Andersson only for this upcoming playoff run, but for next year's playoff run as well, I think there could be a couple of teams interested in the deadline. So I don't think it's an unlikely situation that we could see Rasmus Andersson be traded at some point in season. If not in season, then I think with him entering the final year of his deal, it's a possibility it happens in the offseason next year, but still, I think Rasmus Andersson is a very likely candidate to get moved, and I think there could be a lot of teams interested in him. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But according to Julian McKenzie, Andersson is a very likely trade candidate, and it'll take a massive offer if they were to pry him out of Calgary. So interesting stuff there. And lastly, we're going to go to Carolina Hurricanes. And these aren't any sort of rumors or speculations I've been hearing. This is purely my own speculation. But I've been wondering about Carolina, what they may do next offseason. Now, if you look at their cap space for next offseason, they have a ton of cap space. Brent Burns' contract's coming off the books at $5.8 million cap hit. Dmitry Orlov's $7.2 million cap hit's coming off the books. They have a couple of decent forwards with some decent contracts coming off the books, like a Jesper Fast. On top of that, Frederick Andersson, $3.4 million cap hit's also coming off the books. So this team's probably going to be looking for 2 more top 4 defensemen next year if they both leave. They're looking for a starting goaltender, and they're going to be looking for some more forward help. So they have, I think it was north of 30, maybe even north of $35 million in cap space next year, depending on what happens with the Seth Jarvis extension. So that's made me wonder, could they be big players in next year's free agency? I know the Canes are trying to remain competitive. I still expect them to make the playoffs this year, but if they do lose a couple more pieces, they could be on the outside looking in, maybe not this year, but maybe when it comes to next season. So I think they may be going after some big fish next year. And 2 players who are trying to find their deals who I think are very likely to hit free agency, who I think the Hurricanes may try and target, is Mitch Marner and Linus Ullmark. Now, like we just said, Frederick Andersson is going to be on the final year of his deal. Most likely, I would say, is probably going to be leaving as of next year. There's been some talk that Ullmark was a guy who the Canes had interest in and would want to try and sign. So I could see the Carolina Hurricanes, not too fond of overpaying people, but could they sign Ullmark to like a 4 to 5 year deal with AV of like $7 and $7.5 million, somewhere around there. I think Ullmark would be intrigued by that. And on top of that, the Carolina Hurricanes are a strongly defensive team, so I think there could be a really good fit there. Carolina, especially if Anderson's going. So that's something that we have to watch out for. Like we said, there was some talk when Nate just was in the rumor mill about potentially being moved that Ullmark was a guy who the Carolina Hurricanes really wanted. So I could see them, even if they had to overpay just a tiny bit, try and be in the market to try and land Ullmark if he should hit free agency next year. And who knows, maybe he'll sign with Ottawa. But at this point, it sounds like he probably would test free agency, and I think Carolina could be a really good landing spot. When it comes to Mitch Marner, they've been linked to Marner for quite some time as well. Whenever Marner speculation comes up, they always seem to be in it. Marner, I think probably won't hit the $13 million he wants from Toronto on the open market. I think there might be one or two teams who would pay him like maybe $12 million, but I think most likely he gets something more close to like Pasternak or Nylander money on the open market, which is like 11 to 11.5, something like what Tavares got in Toronto. So I definitely don't see him signing a long-term mega extension like he would in Toronto, but it could seem to be a really good fit in Carolina. I mean, if you look at the Hurricanes, there's a very likely chance Nate just does not survive in Carolina beyond not this upcoming offseason, but the offseason prior when he becomes a UFA. So there's a very likely chance that either next offseason they move him or that he walks to the free agent the year after. So they're going to lose a top 6 forward in there. They've already lost a couple of pieces this year, like a Teuvo Väinänen. So they could definitely use some more top 6 help. Marner, I think, would definitely provide that. If they could sign him to like a 6 to 7 year deal at like $11 to $11.5 million, I think that could be a really good fit there for the Hurricanes. Not saying it's a guarantee or anything, but the amount of times the Hurricanes and Marner have been linked, I think there could be some mutual interest there. As the Carolina Hurricanes are trying to remain competitive, Marner wants to go to a competitive team, get a really good raise on his money, and try and help a team in their top 6. And I think Carolina could be a really good fit there for Marner. So in my opinion, if these two both hit the open market and the Carolina Hurricanes don't have replacements for him elsewhere, I think Marner and Ullmark could both head to Carolina, because the Hurricanes will have plenty of cap space next year, and I think they could definitely use a starting level goaltender like Ullmark, as well as a decent top 6 forward like a Marner. So interesting stuff there, but that's just my speculation. I don't have any sort of rumors or updates to sort of back this up. This is just my speculation, but I think if they were to hit free agency, Marner and Ullmark could be really good fits in the Carolina Hurricanes organization. So I'll have to wait and see on that. But that's all I'm talking for today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What do you think about all of this? Do you agree that Marner and Ullmark could be really good fits in Carolina? And if so, do you think they could sign there in the offseason next year? Could we see Calgary move Rasmus Andersson? And if so, what sort of a return do you think they could get? And what happens with Crosby? Does he sign an extension, or does he enter the season unsigned? Definitely your thoughts on all of that, plus the signings and PTO updates from the past couple of days. Definitely to your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. So I'm going to for today. We're going to end this video. If you're really like to subscribe down below. Thank you for your support. We're able to love you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't leave a comment on the comment section below so this can also discuss today's video. Also a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. The link down in the description below. And I can't see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.